The glass door exploded inward as the woman crashed through it, blood trailing from her temple, designer heels abandoned somewhere in her desperate flight. Marcus Torres barely had time to drop his wrench before she collapsed against him, her manicured fingers clutching his oil-stained coveralls like a lifeline. "Please," she gasped, terror making her voice raw. "They're going to kill me." Outside, black SUVs screeched into his gas station, and Marcus made the choice that would transform his simple life into something extraordinary. Follow my story to the end and comment the city you are watching from so I can see how far my story has reached. Marcus Torres had exactly $17 in his wallet, a 9-year-old daughter asleep at home, and 3 hours left on his shift when everything changed. The Texaco station squatted on the edge of Denver like a forgotten relic, its neon sign flickering between open and darkness. Marcus wiped his hands on the same rag he'd been using all week, the oil and grease now permanent residents in the fabric. The clock on the wall, the one that had been 5 minutes fast since he'd started working here 2 years ago, showed 11:47 p.m. He was under the hood of Mrs. Chen's ancient Corolla, the after-hours repair job that would put an extra $50 in his pocket. $50 that would go straight to Lily's school lunch account, which had been running on empty for 3 days now. His daughter had been packing peanut butter sandwiches without complaint, but Marcus knew. A father always knows. The wrench slipped, skinning his knuckle against the engine block. "Damn it!" He sucked on the wound, tasting copper and motor oil. 3 more hours. Then home to catch 4 hours of sleep before Lily needed to get up for school. Then his day job at Rodriguez Auto, if you could call minimum wage and no benefits a real job. Then back here for another night shift. The cycle that kept them barely afloat. His phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Patterson next door. "Lily's asleep. Don't worry about waking us when you get home." God bless that woman. Without her, he'd never be able to work these doubles. He typed back a quick thanks, his greasy thumb leaving smudges on the screen. The November wind cut through the garage bay, carrying the smell of snow that would arrive before morning. Marcus pulled his threadbare jacket tighter. The heating system had died last Tuesday. Jerry, the station owner, said he'd fix it when he'd fix it, which meant never. Marcus was calculating if he could squeeze out another week from their grocery budget when he heard it. Footsteps. Running. Fast. Not the casual jog of someone out for exercise. This was the sound of prey. He straightened from the engine wrench still in hand and moved toward the garage entrance. The footsteps grew louder, accompanied now by labored breathing. Then he saw her. She burst into view like something from another world. Designer dress, torn at the shoulder. No shoes. Blonde hair that had probably been perfect hours ago now wild around her face. But it was her eyes that made Marcus move pure terror, the kind he'd only seen once before in his wife's eyes the day the doctor said terminal. The woman saw him and changed direction, heading straight for the station. Behind her, maybe 30 seconds back, came the sound of engines. Big ones. Multiple vehicles. "Please!" She crashed through the door, actually crashed shoulder first, the bell above it jangling madly. "Please, you have to help me." She stumbled and Marcus caught her before she hit the oil-stained concrete. Up close, he could see the bruise forming on her cheekbone, the small cut on her lip. Someone had hit her, recently. "Miss what?" "They're coming." She gripped his coveralls, her hand shaking so hard he could feel it through the thick fabric. "They're going to kill me. Please, I know how this looks, but I'm not crazy. I'm not on drugs. They're really going to—" The sound of engines became thunder. Through the window, Marcus saw them 2 black SUVs, the kind with tinted windows that you saw in movies about government conspiracies. They were moving fast, too fast for the narrow street, and they were definitely coming here. Marcus had about 5 seconds to decide. He looked at the woman. Really looked at her. Beneath the terror and the dishevelment, she had the kind of face you saw in business magazines. High cheekbones, intelligent eyes, the bone structure that whispered money, and good breeding. Her dress, even torn, probably cost more than he made in a month. The watch on her wrist definitely did. None of that mattered. What mattered was that she was terrified and she was asking for help, and Marcus Torres had been raised by a father who taught him that you don't turn away from someone in need. "Back room," he said, pulling her toward the station's small office. "Now." She didn't question, just followed. Marcus shoved her through the door into the cramped space that served as Jerry's office, though Jerry hadn't been there in 6 months. "Get under the desk. Don't move. Don't make a sound. She folded herself into the space, and Marcus grabbed a pile of old invoices from the filing cabinet, scattered them over the desk. Made it look like someone had been working. Then he stepped back into the main garage just as the SUVs screamed into the lot. Marcus picked up his wrench and bent back over Mrs. Chen's engine. His heart was hammering so hard he was sure they'd hear it over the engine noise, but his hands were steady. 20 years of working on cars had taught him that. 3 men got out. Marcus watched them in his peripheral vision, keeping his head down. They moved like professionals, smooth, coordinated, purposeful. The one in front was tall, built like someone who spent serious time in the gym. The other 2 flanked him, their eyes scanning the area. Marcus kept working, letting them come to him. "Hey." The tall one's voice was flat, emotionless. "You seen a woman come through here?" Marcus straightened slowly, wiping his hands on his rag like he had all the time in the world. "Woman?" "Blonde. About 5'7", wearing a blue dress." The man's eyes were cold, calculating. "Would have been in the last few minutes." Marcus shrugged. "Been under this hood for the past hour. Haven't seen anyone." The tall man stared at him for a long moment. Marcus met his gaze, keeping his expression bored, maybe a little annoyed at the interruption. Inside, his pulse raced. "Mind if we look around?" It wasn't really a question. "Knock yourself out." Marcus turned back to the engine. "Just don't touch anything. Insurance doesn't cover customer stupidity." One of the other men laughed, but it was cut short by a look from the tall one. They spread out, checking the bathroom, looking behind the counter. Marcus kept working, forcing himself to maintain an easy rhythm, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, simple movements to keep his hands busy and his mind focused. The tall man moved toward the office. "That's locked," Marcus called out without looking up. "Owner's private office. He finds out I let anyone in there, I'm fired." "You got a key?" "Wouldn't matter if I did. Man's got cameras in there, paranoid about employee theft." Marcus glanced over, let a small smile play at his lips. "Though between you and me, there's nothing in there worth stealing unless you're into 5-year-old tax returns and vintage porn magazines." The tall man's hand was on the doorknob. One turn and he'd know Marcus was lying. There were no cameras. Jerry was too cheap for cameras. "Blake, we got something." The voice came from outside. The tall man, Blake, turned away from the door and strode back out. Marcus followed, trying to look curious rather than terrified. One of the men was holding a high-heeled shoe. Designer probably cost more than Marcus made in a week. It was lying by the dumpster like it had been dropped by someone running past. "She went that way," the man said, pointing down the alley that ran behind the station. Blake studied the shoe, then looked back at Marcus. "You sure you didn't see anything?" "Like I said, been working." Marcus crossed his arms. "Look, I don't know what your deal is, but I've got work to do. This car needs to be done by morning, or I don't get paid. So unless you're planning to cover my lost wages..." Blake reached into his jacket, and for a heart-stopping moment, Marcus thought he was going for a gun. Instead, he pulled out a business card. "You see her, you call this number. There's a reward." Marcus took the card without looking at it. How much of a reward? Enough to matter. They got back in their SUVs and peeled out, heading down the alley. Marcus stood there watching their taillights disappear, counting to 100 in his head. Then another 100, just to be sure. When he finally went back to the office, the woman was still under the desk, curled into a ball, so tight it looked painful. She was crying silently, tears streaming down her face. "They're gone," Marcus said softly. She didn't move. "Miss..." "It's okay. They left." Slowly, like she was afraid it was a trick. She uncurled herself and crawled out. Her dress was now torn in 2 places and her stockings were shredded from her run. She stood on shaking legs, using the desk for support. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." "You want to tell me what that was about?" She shook her head, then seemed to catch herself. I can't. The less you know, the safer you are." "Lady, 3 guys who look like they eat steroids for breakfast just came looking for you. That ship has sailed." She almost smiled at that. Almost. "You're right. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have come here, but I didn't know where else to go, and I saw your light, and I just..." "Hey!" Marcus held up his hands. "It's okay. But those guys are going to figure out pretty quick that you didn't go down that alley. They'll be back. The color drained from her face. You're right. I need to go. I need to. She looked around wildly like she was just realizing she had nowhere to go. My phone. They took my phone, my purse, everything. You got someone you can call family friends. She laughed, but it was bitter. The kind of friends I have would sell me out for a stock tip. And my family thinks I'm in Tokyo for a conference. Marcus studied her. The dress, the watch, the perfect manicure that was now chipped and broken. The way she held herself, even terrified, straight spine, chin up. This was someone used to being in charge. What's your name? She hesitated. Sophia. I'm Marcus. He made a decision he'd probably regret. Look, my truck's out back. Let me close up here and I'll take you somewhere safe. I couldn't. Yeah, you could, and you're going to because those guys will definitely be back, and next time they won't take no for an answer. She stared at him. Why would you do this? You don't even know me. Marcus thought about Lily asleep in her bed, trusting that her father would always keep her safe. He thought about his wife, how she'd made him promise to keep being the good man she'd married even after she was gone. Because it's the right thing to do. He went to the register, pulled out the $40 in cash that was supposed to be tomorrow's deposit, and stuffed it in his pocket. Jerry would be pissed, but Jerry could deal with it. Then he grabbed his jacket from the hook and tossed it to Sophia. Put this on. It's cold out there. The jacket swallowed her, hanging past her hips, the sleeves covering her hands. She looked like a kid playing dress-up, if not for the fear still etched on her face. Marcus led her out the back past the dumpster where the man had found her shoe. His truck sat there, a 1995 Ford F-150 with more rust than paint held together by prayer and duct tape. He'd been meaning to fix it up, but that required money he didn't have. This is yours. She tried to keep the surprise out of her voice and failed. She's not pretty, but she runs. Marcus opened the passenger door. The hinges screamed in protest. Watch the spring poking through the seat. Sophia climbed in, careful of the exposed spring. Marcus got in the driver's side and turned the key. The engine coughed, sputtered, then caught. The heater immediately started blowing cold air. Takes a few minutes to warm up, he said apologetically. It's fine, it's perfect. She was looking out the back window, watching for SUVs. Marcus pulled out onto the street, heading in the opposite direction from where the men had gone. He knew these streets had grown up on them. He took a circuitous route, doubling back twice, cutting through an alley so narrow the mirrors almost scraped the walls. You've done this before, Sophia observed. Had a misspent youth. He glanced at her. So what's the plan? Where am I taking you? She seemed to deflate. I don't know. I can't go home. They know where I live. I can't go to the office. That's probably where they grabbed me from. I can't go to the police because she was quiet for so long he thought she wasn't going to answer. Then, because the people after me have connections, money, power, the kind that makes problems disappear. And you have those things. I thought I did. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Turns out I was wrong. They drove in silence for a while, the truck's engine rumbling through the empty streets. Marcus was trying to figure out what to do. He couldn't take her to his apartment. Lily was there. He couldn't leave her at a hotel with no money, no ID. He couldn't... There's a motel, he said suddenly. The Riverside. It's not fancy, but the owner's a friend. He'll let us pay later. Us? You think I'm leaving you alone tonight? Those guys meant business. You need someone watching your back until you figure out your next move. She turned to look at him fully for the first time. In the dim light from the dashboard, he could see her eyes were green. Bright green, like spring grass. I don't even know your last name. Torres? Marcus Torres? Sophia Chen. She held out her hand formal despite everything. Her handshake was firm. And Marcus, thank you. I mean it. Most people would have just... Most people aren't me. The Riverside Motel was exactly what it looked like, a relic from the 1960s that had seen better decades. All of them. But Tom, the night manager, was an old friend from high school who owed Marcus more favors than either of them could count. Marcus? Tom's face lit up when they walked in, then immediately shifted to concern when he saw Sophia. Everything okay? Need a room, Tom. Quiet one. Around back if you've got it. Tom's eyes flicked between them, taking in Sophia's torn dress barely hidden by Marcus's jacket, the bruise on her face. Trouble? The kind we don't talk about. Tom nodded slowly, then reached for a key. Not a key card, the Riverside was too old for that. An actual key attached to a plastic tag with the number worn almost off. Room 12, far corner. Can't see it from the road. He slid the key across the counter. I'm assuming you'll square up later. Soon as I can. Don't worry about it. Tom's voice was gentle. You need anything else, you call. I'm here all night. The room was small, dated, but clean. 2 beds with quilted covers that had probably been there since the motel opened. A TV that might pick up local channels if you held the antenna just right. A bathroom with fixtures that belonged in a museum. Sophia sat on one of the beds, looking lost. I'll go get some supplies, Marcus said. Food, water, first aid kit for that cut. You'll be safe here. Tom's good people and those guys have no reason to look here. You're leaving. The fear in her voice made him stop. Just for 20 minutes. There's a 24-hour Walgreens 2 blocks away. She nodded, wrapping her arms around herself. Marcus's jacket made her look even smaller. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone but me. I'll knock 3 times, pause, then twice more. Okay? Okay? At Walgreens, Marcus bought what he could with his $40. Bandages, antiseptic bottled water, granola bars, a prepaid phone. The teenager at the counter didn't even look up from his phone. Marcus paid in cash and headed back. 3 knocks. Pause. 2 more. Sophia opened the door immediately, relief flooding her face. She'd been crying again. He could tell from the fresh tear tracks. Thought you might not come back, she admitted. Said I would, didn't I? He cleaned the cut on her face while she sat still as a statue. This close, he could smell her perfume, something expensive and subtle. It seemed out of place in the shabby motel room, like finding a diamond in a coal mine. You have medical training, she asked. Daughter plays soccer. I've cleaned my share of scrapes. You have a daughter. Lily, she's 9. Her mother passed away 3 years ago. Cancer. I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. He finished with the bandage, stepped back. That should hold. You might want to get it looked at properly tomorrow. Tomorrow? She said it like it was a foreign concept. I don't even know what tomorrow looks like. Start with tonight. Get some rest. Things will be clear in the morning. You're staying? Marcus gestured to the other bed. If that's okay. Like I said, I don't think you should be alone tonight. She nodded, relief evident. More than okay. Marcus sat on the other bed, pulled out his phone. I need to text my neighbor. Let her know I might not make it home tonight. He sent a quick message to Mrs. Patterson saying he had an emergency and asking if Lily could stay with her in the morning. The response was immediate. Of course. Everything okay? He typed back. We'll explain later, thank you. When he looked up, Sophia was watching him. Your daughter, she's lucky to have you. I'm the lucky one. Tell me about her. So he did. He talked about Lily's obsession with dinosaurs, how she could name every period of the Mesozoic era, how she'd insisted on dressing as a paleontologist for Halloween, complete with khaki vest and fake fossil brushes. How she still left a place at the dinner table for her mother just in case angels got hungry. Sophia listened and gradually the tension in her shoulders eased. When he finished, she was almost smiling. She sounds amazing. She is. She's everything good in this world. He paused. What about you family? Parents in San Francisco. They wanted me to be a doctor. I became a CEO instead. They're still disappointed. She pulled her knees up to her chest. No kids, no husband. My company is my family. Was my family. Was... She was quiet for a long moment. Outside, a siren wailed in the distance. Marcus, what do you do for work, I mean? Mechanic. Work at Rodriguez Auto during the day, the gas station at night. 2 jobs. 3 if you count the side work. Rent's not cheap even in the bad part of town. And Lily, kids are expensive, but we make it work. That must be hard. Marcus shrugged. It's life. You do what you have to do. I ran a company, Apex Industries. Have you heard of it? Marcus almost laughed. Lady Apex Industries owns half of downtown. Everyone's heard of it. I built it from nothing. Started in my garage with an idea and too much caffeine. 15 years later, we're worth $2 billion. She laughed bitterly. And someone wants me dead because of it. Who? My CFO, Harrison Blake. You met him tonight, the tall one. Marcus's blood ran cold. Your CFO is trying to kill you. He's been embezzling. Millions, maybe tens of millions. I found out 3 days ago. I was supposed to be in Tokyo, but my meeting got canceled. I came back early, went to the office to catch up on work, found some discrepancies in the accounts. Started digging. The more I dug, the more I found. Why not go to the police? With what proof Harrison's been at this for years? He's covered his tracks. And he has connections everywhere. Judges, prosecutors, police commissioners. He's bought them all. So he decided to remove the problem, make it look like an accident, CEO under stress, working too hard, tragic car accident, or suicide. He'd have a story ready. Marcus felt anger building in his chest. Over money. $50 million by my count, maybe more. Marcus whistled low. That's a lot of money. Enough to kill for, apparently. She unfolded herself, stretching out on the bed. I'm sorry. I'm dumping all this on you, and you don't even know me. I know enough. You know I'm trouble. I know you're scared and alone and need help. That's enough for me. She studied him in the dim light from the bedside lamp. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? I don't know, but not this. Not kindness without agenda. In my world, everyone wants something. Maybe you've been in the wrong world. She was quiet for a moment, then, maybe I have. Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. He opened it and his blood ran cold. Mr. Torres, you lied to us tonight. That was unwise. We know she was there. We know you helped her. You have one chance to make this right. Call this number, tell us where she is, and we'll forget this happened. You have until sunrise. After that, we'll have to visit your daughter. Lovely girl Lily. Be a shame if something happened to her. His hands started shaking. Marcus... Sophia sat up. What is it? He showed her the phone. The color drained from her face. Oh God, they know about Lily. Marcus, I'm so sorry. I never meant... Stop. His voice was harder than he intended. This isn't your fault. Yes, it is. I brought this to your door. Your daughter. My daughter is going to be fine. He stood pacing the small room. Because we're going to handle this. How Harrison has resources we can't match. He has men-money connections. He has fear. That's all he has. Fear and greed. Marcus stopped pacing, turned to face her. You said you built a $2 billion company from nothing. Yes, but then you're a fighter, and right now we need to fight. With what I have nothing. No phone, no money, no access to my accounts. You have me. The words hung in the air between them. Sophia stared at him, and something shifted in her expression. The fear was still there, but underneath it, something else. Determination, maybe. Or hope. Why what? She asked. Why would you risk everything for a stranger? Marcus thought about it. Really thought about it. The smart thing would be to call the number, tell them where she was, go home to his daughter. The smart thing would be to protect his own. But Marcus had never been particularly smart. What he'd always been was someone who stood up when standing up was required. Because my daughter is watching, he said finally. Even when she's not there, she's watching. Through my actions, my choices. What kind of man would I be if I taught her to turn away when someone needs help? What kind of father would I be if I showed her that fear wins? Sophia's eyes filled with tears. She really is lucky to have you. We're going to get through this, Marcus said. But we need a plan, and we need to move. They know about this place now. They've probably already tracked my phone. As if on cue, the sound of engines filled the night. Marcus moved to the window, peered through the curtain. 2 black SUVs pulling into the motel parking lot. They're here. Marcus grabbed Sophia's arm and pulled her toward the bathroom. Window, now! The bathroom window was small painted shut, probably decades ago. Marcus grabbed a towel, wrapped it around his fist, and punched through the glass. The sound seemed impossibly loud in the quiet night. "Can you fit?" Sophia was already hiking up her torn dress. "I'll fit." Marcus boosted her up, and she wiggled through, dropping to the ground outside with a soft grunt. Marcus followed, barely squeezing his broader shoulders through the frame. Glass cut through his shirt, drawing blood, but he didn't have time to care. They ran. Behind the motel was a drainage ditch, concrete walls slick with algae. Marcus dropped down first, then caught Sophia as she jumped. Her bare feet splashed in the shallow water running along the bottom. "This way." They moved through the ditch, staying low. Marcus knew these backways from his teenage years when running from cops was just another Friday night. The ditch connected to a storm drain that ran under the highway. If they could make it there. Shouts behind them, flashlight beams cutting through the darkness. "They're coming," Sophia gasped. "Keep moving." The storm drain loomed ahead, a black mouth in the concrete. Marcus didn't hesitate, plunging into the darkness. The water was deeper here, knee-high and freezing. Sophia followed, her breathing echoing off the curved walls. They waded through absolute blackness, guided only by touch and the sound of water. Marcus kept one hand on the wall, the other reaching back occasionally to make sure Sophia was still there. Her fingers would grip his cold and trembling, then let go. After what felt like hours but was probably 10 minutes, they emerged on the other side of the highway. Marcus helped Sophia climb out, both of them soaked and shivering. They were in an industrial area, warehouses and chain-link fences as far as they could see. "My truck," Marcus said through chattering teeth. "They'll be watching it." "We need somewhere to go." Marcus pulled out his phone, then immediately turned it off. They could track it, but without it, he had no way to check on Lily, no way to call for help. "There's a place," he said finally. "Friend of mine owns a garage about a mile from here. He lets me use it sometimes for side work. There's an office with a couch." They walked through the empty streets, Sophia barefoot and limping. Marcus gave her his shoes, which were 3 sizes too big, but better than nothing. Every car that passed made them tense, ready to run or hide. The garage was tucked between a Chinese restaurant and a pawn shop, both closed for the night. Marcus found the hidden key, a magnetic box under the dumpster, and let them in through the back. Inside it smelled of motor oil and rubber, familiar and comforting to Marcus. He found the office really just a glorified closet with a desk and an ancient couch that had seen better decades. "It's not much, it's perfect." Sophia collapsed on the couch, pulling her legs up. "It's warm and dry, and they don't know about it. That makes it perfect." Marcus found some coveralls hanging on a hook, tossed them to her. "These'll be big, but they're clean. Ish." While she changed in the bathroom, Marcus tried to think. Blake and his men knew who he was, where he worked, where he lived. They knew about Lily. That was the part that made his hands clench into fists. Threatening him was one thing. Threatening his daughter. Marcus. Sophia stood in the doorway wearing the coveralls, which made her look like a kid playing dress-up. She'd washed her face, revealing the full extent of the bruising. Her left eye was swelling shut. "We need to get you to a hospital." "No hospitals. They'll be watching." She was right. Blake would have men at every emergency room in the city by now. "Then we need ice, at least." He found an old lunch bag in the break room freezer, wrapped it in paper towels. "Here." She held it against her eye, wincing. "What are we going to do?" "First, we need to get Lily somewhere safe." "I have a place." Marcus looked at her skeptically. "Not mine," she clarified. "A cabin. In the mountains. It belongs to the company, but it's off the books. We use it for sensitive meetings. Blake doesn't know about it." "You're sure?" "I'm sure. I set it up myself, separate from all other company assets. Different name, different accounts. It was my insurance policy." "Against what?" "Against this." She gestured vaguely at their situation. "I always knew having that much money made me a target. I just thought the threat would come from outside, not from within." "How far?" 2 hours, maybe 3. Near Estes Park." Marcus calculated. They'd need a car, gas, supplies, and they'd need to get Lily without Blake's men seeing them. "I know what you're thinking," Sophia said. "It's too dangerous. We should just nothing. We're going to get my daughter, and we're going to your cabin, and we're going to figure this out." He stood. "But first we need a car." "Steal one. Borrow one." Marcus pulled out a set of keys from the desk drawer. Owner's got a beater he keeps for parts. It runs, barely, but it'll get us there. The car was a 1988 Honda Civic that looked like it had lost a fight with a baseball bat. Multiple fights. But when Marcus turned the key, it started on the first try. Small miracles, he muttered. They drove through the pre-dawn darkness, taking back roads and residential streets. Marcus's apartment building looked quiet, no suspicious vehicles in sight. But that didn't mean anything. They could be watching from anywhere. Stay here, he told Sophia. Engine running. Anything happens, you drive. I don't... You run a $2 billion company. You can drive a stolen Honda. He slipped out before she could argue. Marcus knew every entrance and exit to his building, including the ones management didn't know about. He went through the basement up the old service elevator that supposedly didn't work anymore. His apartment door was untouched, no signs of forced entry. He grabbed a backpack, throwing in clothes for him and Lily, her favorite stuffed dinosaur, the emergency cash he kept hidden in a coffee can, all $87 of it. Then he went to Mrs. Patterson's door, knocked softly. She answered immediately, like she'd been waiting. Marcus, what's going on? I need to take Lily, now. Something in his face must have told her not to argue. She disappeared, returning with a sleepy Lily wrapped in a blanket. Daddy, Lily rubbed her eyes. Is it morning? Not yet, baby. We're going on an adventure. A dinosaur adventure. Something like that. Mrs. Patterson gripped his arm. Marcus, if you're in trouble, just need to lay low for a bit. I'll call when I can. She nodded, worry creasing her face. You take care of that little girl. Always. He carried Lily down the back stairs, her arms around his neck, still mostly asleep. She barely stirred when he put her in the back seat of the Honda, just curled up with her blanket and dinosaur. Sophia looked back at her, something soft crossing her face. She's beautiful. Yeah. They drove in silence as the sky began to lighten, painting the mountains in shades of purple and gold. Lily woke up as they left the city, sitting up with the sudden alertness children possess. Daddy, where are we going? To a cabin in the mountains. Whose cabin? My friend's. He gestured to Sophia. This is Sophia. Lily studied Sophia with the unfiltered curiosity of a 9-year-old. What happened to your face? Lily, Marcus started. I fell, Sophia said simply. It was silly of me. My dad says you should always watch where you're going. Your dad is very smart. Lily seemed to accept this. Are you Daddy's girlfriend? Marcus nearly drove off the road. Lily. What Tommy's dad has a girlfriend. She brings him donuts. She's just a friend who needs help, Marcus said firmly. Oh. Lily sounded disappointed, then brightening. Do you like dinosaurs? I don't know much about them, Sophia admitted. Lily's eyes lit up. For the next hour, she gave Sophia a comprehensive education on dinosaurs, covering everything from the Triassic period to why velociraptors were misrepresented in movies. Sophia listened with what seemed like genuine interest, asking questions that made Lily beam. You're really smart, Sophia told her. Daddy says I get it from my mom. Lily's voice went quiet. She was really smart too. I bet she was. They stopped once for gas, Marcus paying cash while keeping his baseball cap pulled low. The attendant barely looked at him. Sophia stayed in the car with Lily, teaching her a clapping game she remembered from her own childhood. The cabin appeared just as the sun reached its zenith, tucked into a grove of aspens whose leaves shimmered gold in the light. It was bigger than Marcus had expected, all glass and natural wood modern, but somehow fitting perfectly into the landscape. This is your secret cabin, Marcus asked. The company's secret cabin. Well, mine, really. I'm the only one with the access codes. She punched numbers into a hidden keypad, and the door clicked open. Inside was all clean lines and expensive furniture, a kitchen that looked like it had never been used, floor-to-ceiling windows with views of the mountains. Whoa, Lily breathed. It's like a fancy hotel. There are 3 bedrooms upstairs, Sophia said. Full pantry satellite phone that can't be traced, and she opened a panel in the wall, revealing a safe. Emergency supplies. She pulled out cash, lots of it, multiple phones and what looked like passports. Marcus stared. You really did plan for this? I'm paranoid. Or I was. Turns out not paranoid enough. Lily had discovered the TV, which was roughly the size of Marcus's entire living room wall. Daddy, can I watch cartoons? Sure, baby. While Lily settled in with some animated show about rescue dogs, Marcus and Sophia sat at the kitchen island. Now what, Marcus asked. Now I figure out how to prove what Harrison's been doing. I need to access my company's servers, but remotely without him knowing. You can do that? I built most of our systems. I left myself back doors he doesn't know about. She pulled out one of the phones from the safe. But first I need to make sure you and Lily are protected. We're fine. No, you're not. Harrison won't stop. He can't afford to. You've seen his face. You know what he's doing. You're witnesses. The weight of that settled on Marcus's shoulders. So what do you suggest? Let me pay you. What? $100,000, cash, right now. Take Lily and disappear for a while. Take a vacation. Hell, take a year. By then I'll have dealt with Harrison. Marcus stared at the stack of cash she'd pulled from the safe. More money than he'd see in 2 years of working multiple jobs. Enough to give Lily everything she needed, everything she deserved. No. Sophia blinked. No, I don't take payoffs. It's not a payoff, it's compensation for the danger I've put you in. The answer's still no. Marcus, be practical. Think about your daughter. I am thinking about her. What lesson does it teach if I take money to walk away when someone needs help? Sophia stared at him like he was speaking a foreign language. You're serious. Dead serious. Most people would take the money. I'm not most people. She laughed, but it wasn't bitter this time. No, you're definitely not. From the living room, Lily called out, Daddy, I'm hungry. The pantry's fully stocked, Sophia said. I can cook something. You cook. I used to, before I became too important to do normal things. There was sadness in her voice. They made lunch together, grilled cheese and tomato soup, Lily's favorite. Sophia moved awkwardly in the kitchen at first, like she was remembering skills she hadn't used in years. But gradually she relaxed, even laughing, when Lily insisted on cutting her sandwich into dinosaur shapes with cookie cutters they found in a drawer. Someone's been here with kids, Sophia murmured, looking at the cookie cutters. Whose cabin is this, really? Marcus asked. Mine. But I had hoped. I bought it thinking maybe someday I'd have a family, kids to bring here. She shrugged. Stupid right. I can barely take care of myself. Not stupid, Marcus said. Hopeful. After lunch, Lily explored the cabin, declaring it the best adventure ever, while Marcus and Sophia worked on their problem. Sophia had connected to her company's servers, her fingers flying over the laptop keyboard. There, she said finally. I'm in. What are you looking for? Transaction records, email trails, anything that proves Harrison's been stealing? Her face darkened as she read. Oh my God. What? It's worse than I thought. He's not just embezzling. He's been selling company secrets, our research, our contracts, our bid proposals, everything. To who? Competitors, foreign companies, anyone who'd pay. She kept scrolling, her face growing paler. Marcus, he's destroyed everything I built. Even if I stop him, the company might not survive this. You'll rebuild. With what, my reputation will be ruined. Who's going to trust a CEO who let this happen under her nose? Marcus didn't have an answer for that. Sophia's phone rang, not one of the burners, but her real phone, which she'd said was secure. She looked at the caller ID and her face went white. It's Harrison. Don't answer. But she already had putting it on speaker. Hello, Sophia. Blake's voice was calm, conversational. Having fun playing house? Harrison. I have to admit you've impressed me. The cabin was clever, off the books, untraceable. Except you forgot one thing. Sophia's hands were shaking. What? I've been watching you for years. I know all your hiding spots, all your backup plans. Did you really think I didn't know about the cabin? Marcus moved to the window. Through the trees he could see movement, vehicles approaching. They're here, he said. Oh, and Sophia. Blake's voice turned harder. This time, I'm not sending the B team. These are professionals, military training. They have orders to make it look like a murder-suicide. Desperate woman kills the man who helped her, his daughter, then herself. Tragic, really. The line went dead. Lily, Marcus called. Come here, baby. Right now. She appeared at the top of the stairs, picking up on his tension immediately. Daddy, we're leaving. Get your dinosaur. Sophia was already at the safe pulling out everything money documents, a gun Marcus hadn't noticed before. You know how to use that, Ult? He asked. I took lessons after the first death threat years ago. She checked the magazine with practiced efficiency. But I've never shot at a person. Hopefully you won't have to. They could hear engines now getting closer. Marcus scooped up Lily, who wrapped her arms around his neck without question. Kids from rough neighborhoods learned early when not to ask questions. Back door, Sophia said, leading the way. They slipped out just as the first SUV pulled up to the front. The woods behind the cabin were thick, offering cover. Marcus carried Lily, her face buried in his shoulder, while Sophia led them along what might have been a deer trail. Behind them, shouts, the sound of the cabin door being kicked in. They ran. The trail led down toward a stream Marcus could hear but not see. The underbrush grabbed at their clothes branches, whipping at their faces. Lily stayed silent, her arms tight around Marcus's neck. A gunshot cracked through the air. Bark exploded from a tree inches from Marcus's head. Down! Sophia yelled. They dropped behind a fallen log, Lily whimpering softly. Marcus held her tight, his hand over her head, trying to make them as small as possible. Give it up, Sophia. A man's voice, not Blake's. You're just making this harder. Sophia rose slightly, fired twice in the direction of the voice. The shots were impossibly loud in the quiet forest. Someone cursed, and Marcus heard them diving for cover. We have to keep moving, Sophia whispered. They crawled along the ground using the log as cover until they reached thicker woods. Then they ran again, Marcus's legs burning from carrying Lily, his lungs screaming for air. The stream appeared suddenly wider than expected, water rushing over rocks. Sophia didn't hesitate, plunging in. The water was glacial, straight from mountain snowmelt. Marcus gasped as he followed, holding Lily high to keep her as dry as possible. They waded downstream, the current trying to knock them over stones slippery under their feet. Behind them, voices and crashing through brush. Their pursuers had reached the stream. Around a bend, Sophia spotted something and grabbed Marcus's arm, pointing. A culvert where the stream went under a road. They ducked inside, pressed against the concrete walls, water rushing past their legs. Marcus could hear his heart pounding, Lily's quick breathing, Sophia's teeth chattering. They waited. Footsteps above them on the road, voices muffled but close. They went downstream. You sure? Where else upstream is too steep? The footsteps moved away. They waited another 5 minutes, then carefully emerged. The road was empty, a 2-lane mountain highway Marcus didn't recognize. Which way? He asked. Sophia looked both directions, calculating. Down, toward town. We need people around us. Witnesses. They walked along the road's edge, ready to dive into the woods at the first sound of an engine. Lily had gone quiet in that way kids did when they knew something was very wrong. Her face serious beyond her years. After maybe a mile, they heard a car coming. Marcus tensed, ready to run, but it was just an old pickup, a local by the look of it. The truck slowed and an elderly man leaned out. You folks okay? You look like you've been swimming with your clothes on. Marcus and Sophia exchanged glances. Car went off the road, but Marcus said. Back there. We're okay, but we need to get to town. Hop in. I'll give you a ride. They climbed into the truck bed, huddling together for warmth. The old man drove them into Estes Park, dropping them at a small motel on the main strip. You sure you don't need a hospital? He asked. We're fine, Sophia assured him. Thank you so much. The motel clerk looked at them suspiciously. Soaking wet, disheveled Sophia's face bruised, but Sophia slid cash across the counter, and his concerns evaporated. The room was small, but clean. Marcus immediately turned the heater on full blast, while Sophia deadbolted the door and pulled the curtains. Daddy, I'm cold, Lily said, her first words in an hour. I know, baby. Let's get you into a hot shower. While Marcus got Lily warm and into dry clothes from the backpack, Sophia sat on the bed staring at the gun in her hands. I almost killed someone, she said quietly when Marcus emerged from the bathroom, Lily wrapped in towels. You protected us. I've never... I've made hard decisions, fired people, destroyed competitors. But this? It's different when it's physical, when it's real. She looked up at him. How are you so calm? I'm not calm. I'm terrified. But Lily needs me to be strong, so I am. Lily came out of the bathroom in fresh clothes, her dinosaur clutched to her chest. Daddy, are those bad men gone? Marcus knelt down to her level. Yeah, baby, they're gone. Were they trying to hurt Sophia? He glanced at Sophia, then back to his daughter. Yeah, but we didn't let them. Good. Lily walked over to Sophia, studied her for a moment, then climbed onto the bed beside her. Don't worry, my daddy won't let anyone hurt you. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. She looked at Marcus over Lily's head and something passed between them. An understanding, maybe. Or a promise. We need a new plan, Marcus said. I know. Sophia wiped her eyes. Harrison won't stop. He can't. He's in too deep. So we stop him first. How he has resources, connections? You have those too. You're just not thinking like him. What do you mean? Marcus sat on the other bed facing them. You're thinking like a CEO. Legal channels, proper procedures. He's thinking like a criminal. Maybe it's time you did too. I don't know how to think like a criminal. Lucky for you, I do. He gave her a small smile. Remember that misspent youth I mentioned? You're going to help me. We're going to help each other. You're going to take down Blake and get your company back, and I'm going to make sure he never threatens my daughter again. Sophia nodded slowly. Okay, where do we start? We start by disappearing, really disappearing. Then we hit him where he's not expecting, which is his money. You said he's been embezzling for years, that money has to be somewhere. We find it, we find his weakness. From the bed, Lily piped up. Are we going to be like spies? Marcus ruffled her hair. Something like that, kiddo? Cool. Can I have a code name? Despite everything, Sophia laughed. What code name do you want? Lily thought seriously. Velociraptor. That's a pretty fierce code name, Sophia said. Velociraptors were smart and worked in packs, Lily explained. Like us. Marcus met Sophia's eyes. Out of the mouths of babes. Okay, Velociraptor, he said. Let's figure out how to catch the bad guys. The Denver Public Library's main branch rose like a fortress of glass and steel against the morning sky. Marcus stood across the street watching the early morning foot traffic cataloging exits and entrances. Beside him, Sophia adjusted the baseball cap that hid most of her bruised face. You sure about this? Marcus asked. The library has public computers, no registration required if you know which ones to use. I can access my offshore accounts from there. It had been 3 days since Estes Park. 3 days of cheap motels, gas station food, and constantly looking over their shoulders. Lily was at a McDonald's play place 2 blocks away with $70 in her pocket and strict instructions to call 911 if Marcus didn't return in an hour. They entered separately. Marcus first, just another construction worker on break. Sophia 5 minutes later, hunched and shuffling like someone down on their luck. They'd bought the disguises at a thrift store, worn clothes, old backpacks, the invisible uniform of the forgotten. The computers were on the 3rd floor. Sophia sat at a terminal in the corner while Marcus positioned himself where he could watch both her and the entrance. She worked quickly, fingers flying over the keyboard. Got it, she whispered after 20 minutes. They left the way they came separately, meeting at a coffee shop 3 blocks away. Well, Marcus asked. Harrison's been moving the money through shell companies, 15 of them all registered in different states, different countries. But they all lead back to one account in the Caymans. How much? $63 million. Marcus whistled low. That's more than you thought. He's been at it longer than I realized, maybe since the beginning. Her face was hard. I trusted him. When I started the company, he was one of the first people I hired. He was brilliant with numbers, had vision. I thought he believed in what we were building. Maybe he did. People change. Or maybe I just never really knew him. She pulled out a burner phone. I need to make a call. To who? The one person I know Harrison hasn't bought. My lawyer, former lawyer, Rachel Chen, my cousin. Marcus tensed. Family can be compromised too. Not Rachel. She hates Harrison, always has. Said he reminded her of a snake in an expensive suit. Smart woman. Sophia dialed waited. When someone answered, her whole demeanor changed. Rachel? It's me. Don't say my name. Just listen. She gave her cousin an abbreviated version of events speaking in code they'd apparently established years ago. When she hung up, she looked marginally more hopeful. She'll help. She's going to file injunctions, freeze the accounts Harrison doesn't know we know about. Buy us time. Buy us time for what? To prove everything. To take it to the FBI. The FBI Harrison claims to have bought. Not all of them. Rachel has a contact, someone clean. They picked up Lily, who was entertaining a group of younger kids with dinosaur facts. She ran to Marcus' Happy Meal toy in hand. Daddy, look, it's a T-Rex. That's great, baby. In the car, another beater Sophia had bought with cash. Lily chattered about her morning while Marcus drove, and Sophia made notes on a legal pad. We need proof, she muttered. Physical proof. Documents recording something. Where would that be? Harrison's office, maybe, or his home. She tapped the pen against her teeth. He's paranoid. He'd keep backups. You know where he lives. Penthouse in Lodo. Building has security like Fort Knox. What about the office? Apex Tower, 43rd floor. My security codes are definitely revoked by now. Marcus thought. What about maintenance cleaning crews? Sophia looked at him. You're thinking of breaking in. I'm thinking of walking in. Big difference. That night, they left Lily with Rachel Chen. Sophia had resisted, but Rachel insisted. She'll be safer with me than running around the city with you two playing Mission Impossible, Rachel had said. She was a small woman with Sophia's cheekbones and sharp eyes that missed nothing. I have security, and I'm not on Harrison's radar. Lily had taken to Rachel immediately, especially when she learned Rachel had a cat named Professor Whiskers. You'll come back, right? Lily asked Marcus as he tucked her into the guest bed. Always, baby. And Sophia, too. Marcus glanced at Sophia hovering in the doorway. Yeah, her too. Now Marcus stood outside Apex Tower wearing a janitor's uniform Sophia had somehow procured complete with ID badge from a company that actually serviced the building. The night shift starts at 10, Sophia said through the earpiece they'd bought at an electronics store. You'll have maybe an hour before the real crew shows up. Where are you what? Coffee shop across the street. I've got eyes on the lobby. Marcus pushed a cleaning cart through the service entrance. The security guard barely glanced at his badge. Just another invisible person doing invisible work. The service elevator went to every floor without requiring special access. The benefits of being beneath notice. Marcus rode it to 43, his heart hammering. Harrison's office was at the end of the hall. Double doors that screamed executive importance. Marcus tried the handle. Locked, obviously. But the conference room next door wasn't, and the wall between them was just a partition with a shared ventilation system above the drop ceiling. Marcus had spent his youth exploring places he shouldn't be. Some skills you never forgot. He stood on the conference table, pushed up a ceiling tile, and hauled himself into the crawl space. It was tight, dusty, filled with cables and pipes. He crawled carefully, following the ductwork until he was over Harrison's office. The ceiling tiles here were different reinforced, but there was an access panel for the HVAC system. Marcus carefully removed it and dropped down onto Harrison's desk. I'm in, he whispered. Be careful. The office was ridiculous floor-to-ceiling windows furniture that cost more than Marcus made in a year, abstract art that probably cost more than he'd make in a lifetime. But Marcus wasn't here for a tour. He found the computer, but it was password protected. The desk drawers were locked. He pulled out the lockpicks he'd kept from his teenage years, still carried them out of habit more than anything. The bottom drawer opened after 30 seconds of work. Inside were files, USB drives, and a small black notebook. Jackpot, Marcus breathed. He photographed everything with the phone Sophia had given him page by page. Bank statements, correspondence, handwritten notes that looked like account numbers. Marcus, get out. Sophia's voice was urgent. Someone just entered the building. Executive elevator. Marcus shoved everything back, relocked the drawer. He could hear the elevator now, that expensive whisper of well-maintained machinery. He climbed back onto the desk, pulled himself into the ceiling just as he heard footsteps in the hall. The access panel wouldn't go back properly. It kept catching on something. The footsteps stopped outside the door, the sound of a key in the lock. Marcus let go of the panel and scrambled backward through the crawl space, moving as fast as he dared. He could hear the office door opening below, footsteps on that expensive carpet. He dropped back into the conference room just as lights went on in Harrison's office, visible through the frosted glass partition. Marcus grabbed his cleaning cart, tried to look busy. The conference room door opened. Harrison Blake stood there still in his expensive suit despite the late hour. "What are you doing here?" His voice was sharp, suspicious. Marcus kept his head down, affected a slight accent. "Cleaning, sir. Conference room on the schedule." "The conference room is cleaned in the morning." "Special request, sir. Something about a big meeting tomorrow." Blake studied him. Marcus could feel those cold eyes cataloging every detail. "What's your name?" "Miguel, sir." "Miguel what?" "Rodriguez." Blake pulled out his phone. "Let me verify that with—" The fire alarm went off. The sound was deafening, strobe lights flashing. Blake cursed, looking toward his office, then back at Marcus. But Marcus was already moving, pushing the cart toward the exit. "Emergency evacuation, sir," he called over the alarm. "We all have to leave." Blake hesitated, clearly torn between suspicion and protocol. The alarm made the decision for him. He headed for his office, probably to grab something important. Marcus didn't wait to see what. He abandoned the cart and ran for the stairs. "Nice timing," he said into his earpiece as he descended. "I have my moments," Sophia replied. "Meet you at the rendezvous." The rendezvous was a parking garage 6 blocks away. Sophia was waiting in the car, engine running. Marcus jumped in and they drove, not too fast, not too slow, just another car in the night traffic. "Did you get it?" Marcus held up the phone. "Everything, including what looks like a ledger of payments to cops, judges, city officials." "My God, how deep does this go?" "Deep enough that we need to be very careful about our next move." They drove back to Rachel's house, where Lily was asleep on the couch, with Professor Whiskers curled on her chest. The sight made something tighten in Marcus's chest. This was what normal looked like, what safe looked like. "She tried to stay awake," Rachel said softly. "Wanted to make sure you came back." Marcus carefully picked up his daughter, cradling her against his chest. She stirred but didn't wake. "We need to review what you found," Rachel said. "If it's what you think it is, we can take this to my FBI contact tomorrow." "Tonight," Sophia corrected. "Harrison knows someone was in his office. He'll accelerate whatever he's planning." They spread the photos across Rachel's dining room table. The ledger was damning names, dates, amounts. Judges who'd ruled in Apex's favor, cops who'd buried investigations, city councilors who'd pushed through favorable zoning. "This is enough to bring down half the city government," Rachel breathed. "Which is why Harrison won't hesitate to kill to protect it," Sophia said. "These people won't let him fall. He knows too much." "So what do? We make it public, all of it, before they can stop us." "How?" Sophia smiled, and it was sharp. "I call a press conference tomorrow morning. As CEO of Apex Industries. Harrison will try to stop you. He'll try. But I'm done hiding. Done running." She looked at Marcus. "What do you think?" Marcus thought about Lily asleep in the next room, about the life they'd built, small and struggling, but theirs, about what would happen if they failed. "I think it's time to end this." Rachel made calls through the night, reaching out to journalists she trusted, setting up the conference at a hotel downtown. Sophia worked on her statement, crafting each word carefully. Marcus sat by the window watching the street, the gun they'd taken from the cabin within reach. As dawn broke over Denver, Sophia stood from the table, exhausted but determined. "I need to look like myself," she said. "Like the CEO, not a refugee." Rachel produced a suit from her closet, designer, still with tags. "I bought it for a court appearance, never wore it." It fit Sophia perfectly. Marcus watched her transformation. Hair pulled back, makeup covering the worst of the bruising posture, straightening into command. She looked like the woman from the magazine covers he'd seen at grocery store checkouts. "You clean up nice," he said. You should see me when I haven't been running for my life. Maybe I will. Something passed between them there and gone. Lily woke up, rubbing her eyes. Are we going home today? Not yet, baby, Marcus said. But soon. Is Sophia going to that important meeting she was practicing for? Yeah, she is. Lily walked over to Sophia, looked up at her. You look pretty, but also scary. Like a queen. Queens have to be a little scary sometimes, Sophia said, to protect their kingdom. Exactly. The press conference was scheduled for 9 a.m. By 8:30, they were in position. Rachel and Sophia in the Hotel Marcus across the street with sight lines to all entrances. Lily was with Rachel's assistant, a grandmotherly woman named Mrs. Chen, at a park several miles away. Reporters are arriving, Rachel reported through the phone. Marcus watched black sedans pull up to the hotel. Not reporters. You've got company. 4 cars, professional drivers. Harrison's people. Has to be. We continue as planned. The conference room filled quickly. Marcus recognized some faces from the news, others from the photos in Harrison's ledger. They all looked nervous. At exactly 9, Sophia walked in. The room erupted in questions, flashes from cameras. She stood at the podium waiting for quiet. Thank you for coming, she began. 3 days ago, an attempt was made on my life. The person responsible was Harrison Blake, CFO of Apex Industries. The room exploded again. Sophia raised her hand for silence. Mr. Blake has been embezzling from Apex Industries for over 8 years. The total amount stolen exceeds $60 million. But that's not why he tried to kill me. She clicked a remote. The screen behind her showed the first page of the ledger. He tried to kill me because I discovered this. Marcus watched the room react. Some reporters leaned forward, hungry for the story. Others, the ones on Harrison's payroll, shifted uncomfortably. This is a record of bribes paid to public officials, law enforcement, and members of the media. That caused a stampede. Half the room tried to leave at once. Security guards, real ones hired by Rachel, blocked the exits. No one leaves until I'm finished, Sophia said, her voice cutting through the chaos. From his position, Marcus saw movement. 3 men pushing through the lobby, heading for the conference room. He recognized the walk, the purpose. Military. Incoming, he said into his phone. Rachel heard him through her earpiece, whispered to Sophia, but Sophia didn't stop, just spoke faster. The FBI has been provided with all documentation. Arrests are being made as we speak. That was the signal. FBI agents who'd been positioned around the room stepped forward, badges out. The 3 military types in the lobby stopped reassessing. Then Marcus saw him. Harrison Blake stepping out of a car right in front of the hotel. He didn't look panicked. He looked furious. Blake's here, Marcus reported. Harrison walked into the hotel like he owned it, which Marcus supposed he sort of did. The military types fell in behind him. He's coming up, Marcus said. 4 men total. In the conference room, Sophia continued presenting evidence. Bank records, emails, recorded conversations Harrison didn't know had been captured. The conference room doors burst open. Harrison stood there, his cold eyes finding Sophia. This woman is mentally unstable, he announced to the room. She's been under psychiatric care for paranoid delusions. Nice try, Sophia said, but I have receipts. She clicked the remote again. A video played Harrison in his office talking on the phone. Just kill her. Make it look like an accident. I don't care how much it costs. The room went dead silent. Harrison's face didn't change. That's fabricated. Deep fake technology. From your own security system, Sophia interrupted. Date stamped 3 days ago, 2 hours before the first attempt on my life. The FBI agents moved toward Harrison. He stepped back, his men forming a wall. You have no authority. Actually, we do. An older agent stepped forward, badge prominently displayed. Harrison Blake, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, embezzlement, and racketeering. Harrison looked around the room, maybe expecting support from the people he'd bought. But they were all either already in custody or desperately trying to distance themselves. His eyes found Sophia again. You stupid bitch. You have no idea what you've done. I've taken back my company. You've destroyed it, Without me, Apex is nothing. We'll see about that. The agents moved in. Harrison's men stepped aside. Mercenaries were practical about lost causes. As they cuffed him, Harrison looked at Sophia one more time. This isn't over. Yes, she said quietly. It is. They let him out. The reporters surged forward, shouting questions. Sophia answered them calmly, professionally, like she hadn't just faced down the man who'd tried to kill her. Marcus made his way to the hotel, pushing through the crowd. When Sophia saw him, something in her composed expression cracked, just for a moment. She stepped away from the podium, and suddenly she was just a tired woman who'd been running too long. We did it, she said. You did it. No, we. She looked at him, and there was something in her eyes he couldn't quite read. I couldn't have done any of this without you. Before Marcus could respond, Rachel appeared with Lily in tow. His daughter ran to him, jumping into his arms. Daddy! We saw it on TV. Sophia was like a superhero. Yeah, Marcus said, looking at Sophia over his daughter's head. She kind of was. The aftermath was chaos. Interviews, statements, federal agents wanting to go over every detail. But finally, as the sun set over Denver, they found themselves back at Rachel's house. Lily was asleep again, this time in her own bed. Professor Whiskers had claimed her as his person, purring on her pillow. Marcus and Sophia sat on the back porch, beers in hand, the first alcohol either had touched in days. So what now? Marcus asked. Now I rebuild. The board will probably fire me, too much scandal, even though I was the victim. I'll fight it, but... She shrugged. Maybe it's time for something new anyway. Like what? I don't know, something smaller, something where I actually know all my employees. She looked at him. What about you? Back to work, I guess. The gas station, the shop. Bills don't pay themselves. Marcus. She hesitated. I want to offer you something, not charity, a job. He raised an eyebrow. Head of security for whatever I do next. You've more than proven yourself. I fix cars, Sophia. I'm not a bodyguard. You're someone I trust. That's worth more than any resume. Marcus thought about it. A real job with real pay. Benefits, stability for Lily. Can I think about it? Of course. She stood. I should go. Let you get back to your life. Sophia, she turned. Thank you. For protecting Lily when those men came. For making sure she was safe. She's an amazing kid. You've done a great job with her. Her mom did most of it. I'm just trying to keep up. Sophia smiled. I think you're doing better than you know. After she left, Marcus stood on the porch for a long time, thinking about how much had changed in just a few days. How a simple act of kindness had spiraled into something that transformed everything. His phone buzzed. A text from Sophia, dinner tomorrow. My treat. Somewhere with dinosaur nuggets for Lily. Marcus smiled and typed back, it's a date. Then he went inside to check on his daughter, his miraculous dinosaur-obsessed daughter, who'd somehow stayed innocent through all of this. She was sleeping peacefully, one arm around Professor Whiskers, the other clutching her T-Rex toy. Everything he'd done, every risk he'd taken, had been for her, to show her that standing up for others mattered, that doing the right thing was worth it even when it was dangerous. Looking at her now, safe and dreaming, he knew he'd do it all again. The ballroom at the Brown Palace Hotel glittered with 1,000 lights, each crystal in the chandeliers catching and throwing back the glow. Marcus stood at the entrance tugging at his rented tux's collar for the 10th time. Beside him, Lily wore a deep purple dress that Rachel had insisted on buying her dinosaur purse clutched in her hands. Stop fidgeting, Sophia whispered, appearing at his elbow. She wore an elegant black gown that probably cost more than his truck, but she'd been wearing it when she'd spent 20 minutes in the hotel bathroom, throwing up from nerves. You're one to talk, Marcus muttered back. It had been 3 weeks since Harrison's arrest. 3 weeks of testimony documentation and watching Apex Industries' stock price crater. Tonight's gala was Sophia's Hail Mary, a chance to restore confidence to show Denver's elite that the company could survive. Remember, Rachel said, joining them in a severe gray suit. You just have to get through the presentation, show them the recovery plan, the new transparency measures. I know. Sophia cut her off. I've only practiced it 500 times. 612, Lily piped up. I counted. Despite the tension, Sophia smiled. Over the past weeks, Lily had become her unexpected shadow, showing up at Rachel's house where Sophia was staying, full of dinosaur facts and unfiltered observations that somehow made everything bearable. They entered together a strange family unit that shouldn't have worked, but did. The room was already half full, board members, investors, reporters, all turning to stare as Sophia Chen, the CEO, who'd exposed one of Denver's biggest corruption scandals, walked in. Marcus scanned the room professionally. In the 3 weeks since agreeing to be her security consultant, not head of security, he'd insisted just a consultant he'd learned to read rooms differently. Exit points. Potential threat safe zones. Harrison's lawyer, Sophia murmured, nodding toward a cluster of suits near the bar. I see them. They can't do anything here. Too public. Doesn't mean they won't try something else. The presentation was in an hour. Until then, Sophia had to mingle to reassure to play the confident leader, even as her company bled talent and contracts. Marcus watched her work the room, shaking hands, making small talk, never letting the strain show. Lily, meanwhile, had found the dessert table. One plate, Marcus warned. It's for scientific research, she said seriously. I need to categorize the different chocolate types. A man approached while Marcus was distracted by his daughter's sugar consumption. Tall, silver-haired, expensive suit that he wore like casual clothes. Marcus recognized him from the files James Morrison, Apex's biggest investor. Mr. Torres, isn't it? Marcus turned instantly alert. Mr. Morrison. The hero of the hour, the man who saved our CEO. His smile was razor sharp. Tell me what's a mechanic doing playing bodyguard, looking out for a friend. A friend? How quaint. Morrison sipped his whiskey. You know, Mr. Torres, Sophia Chen is brilliant, but she's also naive. She thinks exposing Harrison solved her problems. She doesn't understand that he was just a symptom. Symptom of what? The reality of business at this level. Sometimes unfortunate compromises must be made. Harrison understood that. Sophia doesn't. Marcus felt his jaw tighten. Harrison was a thief and a would-be murderer. Harrison was a pragmatist who got greedy. There's a difference. Morrison's eyes were cold. The board meets tomorrow. We'll be discussing Sophia's future with the company. Perhaps you should prepare her for disappointment. He walked away before Marcus could respond. Across the room, Sophia was in animated conversation with a group of reporters, but Marcus saw the moment she noticed Morrison leaving. Her smile flickered. Daddy, that man was mean, Lily said, appearing with chocolate on her face. Yeah, baby, he was. Is he going to hurt Sophia? Not if I can help it. The presentation time arrived too quickly. Sophia took the stage and the room quieted. She looked small up there alone under the lights, but her voice was strong when she spoke. 3 weeks ago, Apex Industries discovered a cancer in its leadership. We cut it out. The surgery was painful, costly, but necessary. Tonight I want to talk about recovery. She clicked through slides, new financial projections, restructuring plans, transparency initiatives. The audience was attentive but cold like judges at a trial. Then the lights went out. Not just the presentation system, everything. The ballroom plunged into darkness. People gasped, chairs scraped. Emergency lighting kicked in a second later, casting everything in harsh red. Marcus was already moving, pushing through the crowd toward the stage. He found Sophia standing frozen at the podium. We need to go, now. But the presentation? Now, Sophia. He grabbed her hand, pulled her toward the side exit. Behind them, voices rose in confusion. Then Marcus heard something that made his blood freeze the fire alarm, but wrong somehow stuttering instead of steady. That's not a malfunction, he said. They burst into the service corridor just as smoke began seeping under the ballroom doors. Not fire smoke, something chemical, thick and white. Tear gas? Marcus identified, his eyes already starting to water. They ran down the corridor, Sophia struggling in her heels. She kicked them off without breaking stride. Behind them, Marcus could hear coughing, shouting, chaos. Lily. Marcus's heart stopped. His daughter was back there. She's with Rachel. Sophia gasped. Rachel took her out for ice cream during the presentation. Remember? Relief flooded through him. Rachel had insisted, saying Lily didn't need to sit through boring business talk. Thank God for overprotective lawyers. They reached a service elevator, but it was dead. The stairs then. They climbed Sophia's dress tangling around her legs. She hiked it up to her knees and kept going. Who would do this? She panted. Someone who wanted to send a message. They emerged on the roof, Denver spreading out below them in a tapestry of lights. The night air was sharp cold, clearing the chemicals from their lungs. Marcus pulled out his phone, called Rachel. Where are you? Ice cream shop on 16th. We saw emergency vehicles heading toward the hotel. What happened? Someone gassed the presentation. We're okay. Stay where you are. Marcus. He heard Lily's voice in the background. Is Daddy okay? I'm fine, baby, he called out. Stay with Rachel. I'll be there soon. He hung up, turned to find Sophia sitting on an air conditioning unit, her dress torn, makeup smeared, looking nothing like the polished CEO from an hour ago. This is never going to end, she said quietly. Harrison's in jail, but his allies aren't. They won't let me rebuild. They'll destroy everything first. So we don't let them. She laughed bitterly. How I played by the rules, Marcus. I exposed the corruption went through proper channels. And look what it got me. Then stop playing by their rules. She looked up at him. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we stop reacting and start acting. You know who these people are. Morrison, the others. You have dirt on them. Harrison couldn't have operated alone. Knowing and proving are different things. In court, maybe, but we're not in court. The roof access door banged open. 3 men in tactical gear emerged, faces covered. Not police. Their movement was too aggressive, too focused. Marcus stepped in front of Sophia, but she grabbed his arm. Wait, she said. One of the men pulled off his mask. Marcus recognized him, one of Harrison's mercenaries from the cabin. Ms. Chen, the man said, we need to talk. Since when do Harrison's hired guns want to talk? Since Harrison stopped paying us. The mercenary's smile was humorless. And since we discovered he was planning to eliminate us after we eliminated you, loose ends and all that. What do you want? Employment. You're going to need security, real security. We're offering our services. Marcus stepped forward. You tried to kill her. We tried to complete a contract, nothing personal. The mercenary looked at Sophia. Ms. Chen, you're about to be in a war. The people Harrison was protecting, they can't afford to let you win. You need soldiers. I don't hire killers. Then you'll lose. The mercenary was blunt. Morrison's already arranged for the board to vote you out tomorrow. After that criminal charges, they'll claim you orchestrated everything with Harrison, that you were partners. They have judges who'll make it stick. Sophia's face paled. That's impossible. Ma'am, these people own impossible. They buy it wholesale and sell it retail. He pulled out a phone, showed her something on the screen. Security footage from tonight. Edited. Shows you setting the gas canisters. The video was convincing. Sophia entering a service room handling what looked like the devices. It was fake, had to be, but it looked real. This goes live tomorrow, unless you disappear tonight, the mercenary said. Take a buyout sign and NDA vanish. That's Morrison's offer. And if I refuse, then you go to prison, and everyone who helped you goes with you. His eyes flicked to Marcus. Everyone. The threat to Marcus was clear, but more than that, the threat to Lily. These people would destroy a child's father to make a point. I need time to think, Sophia said. You have until dawn. After that, the video goes wide. The mercenary and his team left the way they came. Marcus and Sophia stood alone on the roof, the city lights below seeming suddenly cold. We have to run, Sophia said. Take Lily and run. I'll give you money. No. Marcus, you don't understand. They'll destroy you. Your daughter will grow up knowing her father ran when things got hard. That's not happening. This isn't your fight. It became my fight the moment they threatened my kid. Marcus pulled out his phone. And now we make it theirs. He called a number he hadn't used in years. It rang 3 times before a gravelly voice answered. Christ, Marcus, this better be important. Tommy, it's important. I need the crew. A pause. The crew hasn't existed for 5 years. It does tonight. Usual place, 1 hour. This about what's on the news? The gas thing at the Brown Palace. Yeah. Shit. All right, I'll make calls. Marcus hung up, turned to find Sophia staring at him. The crew. Some friends from my misspent youth. People who know how to handle problems outside the system. Marcus, I can't ask you to. You're not asking, I'm telling. These people want a war fine, but they're not going to like how we fight. They made their way off the roof down through the chaos of evacuation. The hotel was swarming with real police now, firefighters, EMTs treating people for gas exposure. In the confusion, no one noticed them leave. The ice cream shop was closed, but Rachel had kept it open with what must have been a substantial cash offer. Lily ran to Marcus the moment he entered, throwing her arms around his waist. Daddy, there were fire trucks and everything. I know, baby. Pretty exciting, huh? Was it bad guys again? Marcus met Sophia's eyes over his daughter's head. Yeah, but we're handling it. Rachel pulled them aside while Lily returned to her sundae. I've been making calls. Morrison's moving fast. He's got proxies buying up shares, calling in favors. By tomorrow's board meeting, he'll have control. Then we stop him tonight, Marcus said. How? By being worse than he is. The usual place was a garage in 5 Points, officially closed, but never really empty. Tommy was already there when they arrived, 6'4", of tattooed muscle, gone slightly soft but still intimidating. Others trickled in: Luis, who ran cybersecurity for banks now, but used to hack ATMs for fun. Maria, who'd become a paramedic but could still pick any lock in the city. Diego, who'd gone straight and become a cop but remembered where he came from. So, Tommy said, cracking his knuckles, we going to war with rich people? Something like that, Marcus replied. He laid out the situation. Morrison, the fake video, the threats. His old crew listened, faces growing darker with each detail. They threatened little Lily. Maria's voice was dangerously quiet. Indirectly. Fuck indirectly. You threaten Marcus's kid, you threaten all of us. So what's the play? Luis asked, already pulling out a laptop. I can kill that video, make it disappear from every server it's on. That's defense, Marcus said. We need offense. Morrison, Sophia said suddenly. Everyone turned to her. She'd been quiet since they'd arrived, clearly uncomfortable in this world. He's the key. He's coordinating everything. If we can compromise him, lady people like Morrison don't get compromised, Tommy said. They're bulletproof. Legally, maybe, but everyone has secrets. She looked at Luis. Can you get into his personal systems? Luis grinned. Does a bear shit in the woods? Then do it. Financial records, emails, everything. That's illegal, Diego pointed out, though he was smiling. So is framing someone for terrorism, Sophia shot back. I'm done playing nice. While Luis worked his digital magic, the others planned. Marcus would handle physical security, making sure Morrison's people couldn't get to Sophia or Lily. Maria would infiltrate the hotel staff, get access to Morrison's room. Diego would use his police connections to muddy any official response. Got something, Luis announced after an hour. Morrison's got a problem, a big one. A big she? They crowded around his laptop. On screen were financial records, but not Morrison's official ones. Cayman accounts, Luis explained. Same bank Harrison used. And look at the dates. The transfers aligned with Harrison's embezzlement. Morrison hadn't just known about the theft, he'd been profiting from it. He was Harrison's partner, Sophia breathed. That's why he's so desperate to silence me. If this comes out, he goes down harder than Harrison, Marcus finished. Can we prove it? Rachel asked. The records are right here, Luis said. Illegally obtained. Inadmissible. In court, Marcus said. But the court of public opinion, the FBI's forensic accountants, once they know where to look. Sophia was already pulling out her phone. I need to make a call. She dialed a number, put it on speaker. A tired voice answered the FBI agent from the press conference. Agent Coleman, it's Sophia Chen. I have information about James Morrison. Ms. Cheney sits 3 a.m. James Morrison was Harrison Blake's partner in the embezzlement. I'm sending you records now. Cayman accounts, transaction histories, everything. How did you obtain these records? Does it matter? Just look at them. Follow the money. You'll find everything you need. She hung up before he could respond, then turned to Luis. Send it. Everything. Already done. Also sent copies to the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, and every financial blogger I could find. Morrison's going to know it was us, Rachel warned. Good, Sophia said. Let him. Marcus's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered, putting it on speaker. Mr. Torres, Morrison's voice cold with fury. You've made a serious mistake. Have I? That information is fabricated. No one will believe it. Then you've got nothing to worry about. A pause. What do you want? Marcus looked at Sophia. She took the phone. I want you gone, James. Resign from the board. Sell your shares, disappear. You're insane. I'm motivated. There's a difference. Her voice was steel. You have until the market opens, 9:30 a.m. After that, everything goes wide. Not just the financial records, everything. Every dirty deal, every bribe, every affair. Luis is very thorough. Hey, Luis said cheerfully in the background. Tell him about the senator's wife. That's a fun one. Morrison's breathing was audible through the phone. You don't know who you're crossing. Neither did you, Sophia replied. 9:30, James. Don't test me. She hung up. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Tommy started laughing deep and genuine. Lady, you've got bigger balls than half the crew. Dawn came slowly, painting the mountains pink and gold. They'd moved to Rachel's house safer, more comfortable, and with better coffee. Lily was asleep on the couch, having stayed up late, insisting she was part of the team. Marcus stood on the porch, watching the sunrise. Sophia joined him carrying 2 mugs of coffee. Thank you, she said. For what? For showing me how to fight dirty. You already knew. You just needed permission. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the city wake up. At 9:25, Sophia's phone buzzed, an email from Morrison's lawyer. Resignation from the board agreement to sell all shares back to the company at a loss. We won, Sophia said, but she didn't sound triumphant, just tired. This round, Marcus corrected. There'll be others. I know, but maybe I don't have to face them alone. Marcus looked at her, really looked at her, not the CEO, not the woman he'd saved, but Sophia. Smart, tough, vulnerable, beautiful, in the morning light, despite everything she'd been through. No, he said. You don't. She kissed him, then soft and unexpected. He froze for a moment, then kissed her back, tasting coffee and possibility. Ew, gross. They broke apart to find Lily standing in the doorway, face scrunched in disgust. Daddy's kissing Sophia. Very observant, Marcus said, feeling his face heat. Does this mean she's your girlfriend now? Marcus and Sophia looked at each other, then burst out laughing. I don't know, baby, Marcus said. Maybe we should take it one day at a time. Okay, but if she is your girlfriend, does that mean we get to ride in fancy cars? Lily. What Tommy said, Sophia has 7 cars. 7. That's like more than 5. Sophia knelt down to Lily's level. How about this? You can pick which one we take to breakfast. Deal? Deal. Can we get dinosaur pancakes? I don't see why not. As Lily ran inside to get dressed, Marcus pulled Sophia close again. You know this changes everything, he said. I know. My world, your world, they don't exactly mix. Maybe that's what makes it interesting. Morrison's not going to be the last threat. I know that too. She looked up at him. But I also know I don't want to face them without you. Any of them. Marcus thought about his simple life from just a month ago. The gas station, the garage, the constant struggle to make ends meet. It hadn't been much, but it had been predictable. Safe. This, whatever this was, would be neither. Okay, he said. Okay. Okay, we do this, together, but I'm still not wearing suits every day. She laughed. Deal. Lily burst back out fully dressed, but with her shirt on backward. Ready. Let's go see the 7 cars. As they walked to the car, just Rachel's sensible sedan to Lily's disappointment, Marcus's phone buzzed. The mercenary from the roof. Offer still stands. You're going to need us. Marcus showed it to Sophia. She took his phone and typed back, You're hired, but you work for both of us, and the first rule is no killing. That's going to make our job harder, came the immediate response. Then earn your pay, Sophia typed back. She handed the phone back to Marcus. Think I'm crazy? Probably, but it's a good kind of crazy. They drove toward downtown Lily, chattering about dinosaurs and pancakes, and whether Sophia's 7 cars could transform into robots. The morning sun turned the city's glass towers into pillars of light, and for the first time in weeks, Marcus felt something like peace. It wouldn't last. Morrison was just one enemy, and there would be others. The board meeting was in 3 hours, and even with Morrison gone, the fight for Apex Industries was far from over. But right now, in this moment, with his daughter laughing in the back seat and this remarkable woman beside him, Marcus felt ready for whatever came next. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the executive conference room of Apex Industries, but this time he wasn't wearing a janitor's uniform or sneaking through ceiling tiles. He wore jeans and a button-down shirt, his compromise with corporate culture, and carried a tablet with security protocols for the company's new automotive division. The retrofit center in Commerce City is almost ready, he told the assembled board members, none of whom were the same faces from 6 months ago. We can start converting fleet vehicles to electric next month. Sophia sat at the head of the table, no longer the embattled CEO fighting for survival, but a leader who'd transformed crisis into opportunity. After the scandal, Apex had restructured completely, selling off the divisions tainted by corruption and refocusing on sustainable technology. The automotive division, Marcus's idea, was their newest venture. Mr. Torres, one of the new board members, said, "Your projections show profitability within 18 months. That seems optimistic." "It's realistic," Marcus replied. "I've been fixing cars for 20 years. I know what people need, what they can afford, and what they're willing to pay for. This isn't about selling luxury EVs to rich people. It's about converting work vehicles, delivery vans, service trucks, the vehicles that actually keep the city running. And you'll be overseeing this personally. Along with my team, yes." His team. Tommy ran logistics using his connections to source parts. Luis handled the technical systems, making sure their converted vehicles could talk to smart city infrastructure. Maria managed customer service, and Diego made sure they stayed on the right side of the law, mostly. After the meeting, Marcus found Sophia in her office, the same one where he'd broken in months ago. She was staring at her computer screen, frowning. "Bad news?" he asked. "Email from Morrison's lawyers. He's suing for defamation." "Let him. Discovery will be fun." She laughed, spinning her chair to face him. "When did you become so comfortable with legal warfare?" "When I started dating a CEO. You pick things up." The dating thing had been complicated. They'd tried to keep it quiet at first, but Lily had blown that by announcing at a company picnic that her dad was kissing Ms. Sophia all the time now. The media had been brutal, initially gold-digger accusations for him, judgment about inappropriate relationships for her. But they'd weathered it, and now it was just another fact. Sophia Chen was rebuilding Apex Industries, and she was doing it with a former mechanic who'd saved her life. "Speaking of Lily," Sophia said, "she called me earlier, from school." Marcus groaned. "What did she do?" "Corrected her science teacher about dinosaur facts. Apparently there was a heated debate about whether T-Rex was a scavenger or predator. She gets passionate about accuracy. She gets that from her father." Sophia stood, moving close to him. "How's the Northside facility?" Marcus had convinced Sophia to open the retrofit center in his old neighborhood, providing jobs for people who needed them. It had been a hard sell to the board, but the tax incentives helped. "Good. We hired 12 new mechanics this week, all local." "And the gas station," Marcus smiled. He'd bought Jerry's old station with his first real paycheck from Apex, turning it into a training center for the retrofit program. Kids from the neighborhood could learn the trade, get certified, and get hired. "Jerry called me a sellout, then asked for a job." "Did you give him one?" "Management position. He's terrible at it, but he shows up." Sophia's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and her expression darkened. "What?" Marcus asked. She showed him the screen. A news alert: former Apex CFO Harrison Blake found dead in federal prison. Marcus read the details. Apparent suicide, though the circumstances were suspicious. Blake had been in protective custody, supposedly safe from other inmates he'd testified against. "Morrison," Marcus said. "Probably. Tying up loose ends. Are you safe?" I have the best security consultant in the city, she said, trying for light, but Marcus saw the fear underneath. I'm serious. So am I. She took his hand. Marcus, there will always be threats. People like Morrison don't forgive. But I'm not running anymore. We're not running. Marcus's phone rang. The school. Mr. Torres, Lily's fine, but there's been an incident. We need you to come pick her up. They both went, Sophia insisting. They found Lily in the principal's office, chin high, defiant. A boy sat across from her with a bloody nose, his parents glaring. She hit him, the mother exclaimed. He said Daddy was a gold digger, Lily shot back, and that Sophia was a word I'm not supposed to say. Marcus knelt by his daughter. Lily, we've talked about this. Violence isn't... You fought bad guys to protect Sophia, Lily interrupted. Why can't I... The question hung in the air. The principal looked confused. The other parents looked uncomfortable. Sophia stepped forward. Because, she told Lily gently, your dad fought when there was no other choice. When people were in real danger. Mean words aren't the same as physical danger. But they hurt, Lily said, and her tough facade cracked. They said you only like us because Daddy's handsome and you're desperate. Marcus saw Sophia's jaw tighten, but her voice stayed calm. People say mean things when they're jealous or scared or just don't understand. But we know the truth, right? We know why we're together. Because Daddy saved you, and then you saved him back, and now you save each other. Something like that. The principal cleared his throat. Lily will need to serve detention, and we'll need assurances this won't happen again. It won't, Marcus said firmly, then looked at the other parents. But maybe you should talk to your son about spreading gossip he hears at home. The father bristled. Are you implying... I'm stating, Marcus said, standing. Keep your opinions about my family to yourself, and we won't have problems. They left with Lily between them, small hand in each of theirs. In the parking lot, she looked up at them. Am I in trouble? Yes, Marcus said, but also a little bit no, Sophia added, earning a look from Marcus. What? She was defending us. That counts for something. Don't encourage her. I'm not. I'm just saying if someone had stood up for me when I was her age... She trailed off. That night after Lily was asleep, they sat on the balcony of Sophia's apartment. Their apartment now, though Marcus still kept his old place. The city sprawled below lights, twinkling like ground-level stars. I have something to tell you, Sophia said. Marcus tensed. Good or bad? I don't know. Different. She took a breath. The board wants me to take Apex public again. IPO within the year. Apex had gone private during the restructuring, buying back shares at rock-bottom prices. Going public again would mean massive profits for everyone involved. That's good, right? It means scrutiny. Every aspect of our lives under a microscope. The media will dig into everything your past, my relationships, Lily's mother. Marcus was quiet, thinking about his wife. Sarah would have laughed at all of this. She'd always said he was meant for bigger things than he believed. Can you handle it? Sophia asked. Can you? With you, yes. Then we do it. She smiled, but there was something else. There's more. The board wants to know about succession planning. What happens to the company if something happens to me? Nothing's going to happen to you. Marcus, we both know that's not guaranteed. Morrison's still out there. Others too. She turned to face him fully. I want to put you in my will. You and Lily. Everything. Marcus stared at her. Sophia, it's not about money. It's about making sure you're protected, both of you. We don't need to... You do, and I need to know you're taken care of. Please. Before he could respond, his phone buzzed. The overnight security team at the retrofit center. Boss, we've got a problem. They drove to the center in silence, Sophia having insisted on coming. The building was surrounded by fire trucks, smoke pouring from the main garage. Not accidental, someone had spray-painted "Remember Your Place" across the front wall. Tommy was already there, face grim. 3 cars torched, all the new equipment destroyed. Anyone hurt? Marcus asked. No, but the message is clear. Morrison, or someone like him. A reminder that the old guard hadn't forgotten. Sophia was on her phone calling lawyers, insurance, PR teams. But Marcus just stood there staring at the burning building. His dream, his chance to give back to his community, going up in smoke. "We'll rebuild," Sophia said, appearing at his side. "With what insurance will take months. The neighborhood needed these jobs now." With this, she showed him her phone, a bank transfer, $10 million from her personal account to the company's. "My inheritance from my grandmother. I was saving it for something important." "Sophia, I can't." "It's not for you. It's for them." She gestured to the crowd, gathering locals who'd been hoping for work kids who'd signed up for training. "It's for everyone who believed in this." The next morning, they held a press conference in front of the burned building. Sophia announced the immediate rebuilding, the expansion of the program, and a challenge to the old guard trying to stop them. "You can burn our buildings, she said to the cameras, "but you can't burn our resolve. Every attack makes us stronger. Every setback makes us more determined." Marcus stood beside her, Lily between them. His daughter held a sign she'd made herself, "My daddy and Sophia are heroes." The image went viral within hours. The struggling single dad, the CEO, and the little girl who believed in both of them. Donations poured in. Other companies offered support. The mayor promised city resources. Morrison responded through intermediaries, anonymous threats, legal challenges, whisper campaigns. But something had changed. The city was watching now. The story had captured something people needed: hope that the system could change, that good people could win. 3 weeks later, the retrofit center reopened. Bigger, better, with a waiting list of customers and more job applications than they could handle. Marcus stood in the new garage watching his team work. Tommy was teaching a kid from the neighborhood how to properly torque battery connections. Luis was showing a group of high schoolers how the diagnostic computers worked. "Proud of yourself?" Sophia asked, appearing beside him. "It's not about pride." "Then what?" He thought about it. "Redemption, maybe. Showing Lily that where you come from doesn't determine where you go." "She already knows that. She learned it from you." That night they had dinner at Marcus's old apartment. He'd insisted on keeping it a reminder of where they'd started. Lily was at a sleepover, so it was just them eating takeout Chinese on the floor because Marcus had sold most of his furniture. "I've been thinking," Sophia said. "Dangerous. About us. About what this is." Marcus set down his chopsticks. "And I love you." The words hung there, simple and complicated at once. "I love how you see the world," she continued, "how you protect people, how you've raised Lily, how you make me remember who I was before I became so focused on being who I thought I should be." "Sophia, I know it's fast, I know it's complicated, but almost dying has a way of clarifying things." Marcus moved closer to her. "I love you too. Have for a while now. Since when? Since you stood in my gas station terrified but trying to be brave. Since you trusted me when you had no reason to. Since you made dinosaur pancakes with my daughter and acted like it was the most important thing in the world." She kissed him then, and it felt like a promise. Later, as they lay together on his old mattress on the floor, Sophia said, "The IPO is next month." "I know. Everything changes after that." "I know that too. Are you ready?" Marcus thought about the kid who'd spent his youth stealing cars and running from cops, the young father who'd held his dying wife and promised to be better, the mechanic who'd worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. "No," he said honestly, "but I'll figure it out." "We'll figure it out," she corrected. The IPO was held at the New York Stock Exchange. Marcus wore his first real suit, bought not rented, though he still tugged at the collar. Lily wore a dress that Sophia had let her pick out, purple, with actual dinosaurs printed on it, completely inappropriate and perfect. They stood on the trading floor as Sophia rang the opening bell. The stock price soared immediately, the comeback story everyone wanted to believe in. Within hours, Apex Industries was worth more than it had ever been under the old leadership. But the real moment came that evening at the celebration dinner. Morrison was there. He'd bought shares through shell companies, still trying to profit from what he'd tried to destroy. He approached their table, smile sharp as a blade. "Congratulations, Ms. Chen. Mr. Torres." He looked at Lily. "And the little princess." "Thank you for coming, James," Sophia said coolly. "Wouldn't miss it. Though I should warn you, the market can be volatile." "What goes up?" He shrugged. Marcus started to stand, but Lily beat him to it. "You're the bad man," she said clearly. "The one who tried to hurt Sophia." The room quieted. Morrison's smile flickered. "I don't know what you mean." "Yes, you do. Daddy says liars always know they're lying." She turned to the room at large, voice carrying. "This man is a liar and a bully, and he burns down buildings when he doesn't get his way." Security moved toward them, but Sophia raised a hand, stopping them. "Mr. Morrison was just leaving," she said. Morrison's face had gone red. "You can't—" "I can. I'm the CEO, and you're trespassing." She stood Marcus beside her. "Leave, now. And James." The FBI reopened their investigation. Something about new evidence from Harrison's files. "You should expect a call." Morrison left, but not before leaning close to Marcus. "You'll regret this." "Get in line," Marcus replied. The threat would have scared him once. Now it just felt tired. Men like Morrison had been threatening men like Marcus forever. The difference was now Marcus had resources to fight back. A week later, Morrison was arrested on federal charges. The evidence from Harrison's files, carefully leaked to authorities, was damning. He'd live his remaining years in the same prison where Harrison had died, though probably not for long. Marcus stood in the garage of the retrofit center, now one of 5 across the city. They employed 300 people, had contracts with the city and state, and a waiting list stretching into next year. "Mr. Torres," a young man approached, nervous. "I'm starting Monday." "In the training program." Marcus recognized him, one of the kids who used to hang around his old gas station asking for work he couldn't give. "Good to have you aboard. Is it true what they say about you and Miss Chen?" "What do they say?" "That you saved each other." Marcus thought about it. About that night 6 months ago, no, almost a year now, when a desperate woman had crashed into his life and changed everything. "Yeah," he said. "That's true." The kid nodded and headed off to orientation. Marcus watched him go, remembering being that age, that hungry for a chance. His phone buzzed. A text from Sophia. "Board meeting over. We're approved for nationwide expansion. Dinner at home. Lily wants to show us her science project." Home. Their apartment, but really anywhere the 3 of them were together. He texted back, "On my way." As he drove through Denver past the old gas station, now the Marcus Torres Vocational Center, past the courthouse, where Blake had been tried, past the hotel where everything had almost ended, Marcus thought about the strange turns life took. He'd saved a stranger because it was the right thing to do. She'd saved him right back by showing him he was worth more than survival. Together, they'd built something neither could have managed alone. The media called it a modern fairy tale. His old crew called it lucky as hell. Lily called it destiny, though she couldn't pronounce it quite right. Marcus called it life. Messy, complicated, dangerous, beautiful life. He pulled into the parking garage of their building, where Sophia's 7 cars sat mostly unused. Lily had been disappointed to learn they were all just regular cars, not transformers. As he walked to the elevator, he passed the security office where the mercenaries turned bodyguards monitored everything. They nodded respectfully. The apartment door opened before he could reach for the handle. Lily stood there beaming, holding what looked like a papier-mâché stegosaurus. "Daddy, I got an A+. Mrs. Henderson says I'm going to be a paleontologist for sure." "That's amazing, baby." Sophia appeared behind Lily, no longer the terrified woman from the gas station or the embattled CEO from the boardroom. Just Sophia wearing jeans and one of Marcus's old shirts, smile soft and real. "Welcome home," she said. And it was. Despite everything, the threats, the violence, the constant vigilance required to stay safe, this was home. This patchwork family forged in crisis and strengthened by choice. Marcus kissed Sophia, hugged his daughter, and listened to her explain her science project in exhaustive detail. Outside Denver went about its business, unaware that in this apartment, a mechanic and a CEO and a dinosaur-obsessed little girl were proving that sometimes the best things in life came from the worst circumstances. Later that night, after Lily was asleep, Marcus found Sophia on the balcony looking out at the city lights. "Any regrets?" he asked. "About which part?" "Any of it. All of it." She was quiet for a moment. "I regret that people got hurt, that Harrison died even if he brought it on himself. that we'll always have to look over our shoulders. But I don't regret stopping that night, at your gas station. She turned to him. That was the best wrong turn I ever made. Marcus pulled her close. You know we're probably always going to have enemies. Probably. And the media will never leave us alone. Definitely not. And Lily's going to keep correcting her teachers about dinosaur facts. God, I hope so. They stood together looking out at their city. Somewhere out there, another Morrison was probably plotting. Another crisis was building. Another challenge was waiting. But tonight they were safe. They were together. They were home. And that was enough. The news would later call it the transformation of Apex Industries, the redemption of Sophia Chen, the rise of Marcus Torres. Business schools would teach case studies about crisis management and corporate restructuring. Social media would argue about whether their relationship was real or strategic. But for Marcus, it would always be simpler than that. He'd helped someone who needed it. She'd helped him back. Together, they'd built something worth protecting. The rest was just details. The medical examiner's report would list the cause of death as complications from a fall. But everyone who knew James Morrison understood the truth. He had jumped from his penthouse balcony rather than face trial. The news broke on a Tuesday morning just as Marcus was teaching a group of teenagers how to diagnose battery problems in electric vehicles. Mr. Torres. Luis appeared in the garage doorway, phone in hand, expression grave. You need to see this. Marcus read the headline twice before it sank in. He immediately called Sophia, who was in Seattle closing a deal with the city for a fleet conversion contract. I heard, she said without preamble. Rachel just called. This changes things. Does it? He's gone Marcus, the last real threat. But Marcus knew better. Men like Morrison didn't exist in vacuums. They had allies, protégés, people who owed them favors or feared their secrets would be exposed. Morrison's death wouldn't end anything, it would accelerate it. He was right. The first sign came 3 days later. A man in an expensive suit appeared at the retrofit center, claiming to be from the city's licensing department. He spent 2 hours examining permits, taking photos, making notes. Everything was in order. Marcus had made sure of that, but the message was clear. They were being watched. The second sign was more direct. Lily's school called to say someone had tried to pick her up, claiming to be a family friend. The description matched one of Morrison's former security team. The school had followed protocol, refusing to release her, but Marcus pulled her out early, anyway, his hands shaking as he buckled her into the car. Daddy, why do bad people keep bothering us? Lily asked, clutching her backpack. Because we have something they want, baby. What? Power, the kind that comes from doing the right thing. That night Marcus called a meeting, not in some corporate boardroom, but in the garage where it had all started, Tommy's place in 5 Points. The whole crew came, Tommy, Luis Maria Diego, plus the mercenaries turned bodyguards led by a former Special Forces operator named Cole. Morrison's death created a power vacuum, Cole said, spreading photos across the workbench. These are the players trying to fill it. Marcus recognized some faces. City councilors, judges, business leaders who'd attended Morrison's parties and laughed at his jokes while taking his money. But one stood out. Victoria Ashford, Morrison's protégé and rumored lover, a woman who'd built her fortune in pharmaceutical patents through methods that skirted the edge of legal. She's the immediate threat, Cole continued. She's been buying up Apex stock through shells, trying to gain enough leverage for a hostile takeover. Let her try, Sophia said from the speakerphone. We have controlling interest. Not if she can prove malfeasance, Luis interjected, pulling up documents on his laptop. She's hired investigators to dig into the Morrison situation, looking for evidence that you two orchestrated his downfall illegally. We didn't, Sophia started. Doesn't matter what we did or didn't do, Marcus cut in. It matters what she can make people believe. The room fell silent. They all knew how this game worked now. Truth was negotiable in their world. What mattered was who controlled the narrative. So we control it first, Maria suggested. Get ahead of whatever story she's trying to tell. Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Your daughter has a beautiful smile. It would be a shame if something changed that. The photo attached showed Lily at school that morning, taken from across the street with a telephoto lens. Marcus's vision went red. Tommy grabbed his arm before he could punch the wall. "Easy, brother. Getting angry is what they want. They're threatening my kid." "Then we handle it smart," Cole said. "This isn't Morrison's gentleman's warfare. Ashford plays dirtier." Over the next week, they went on the offensive. Luis traced the threatening messages to a security firm connected to Ashford. Diego used his police connections to open an investigation into the threats. Maria leaked the story to sympathetic journalists, framing it as a powerful woman targeting a child to get to her father. But Ashford was smart. She responded with her own media campaign painting Sofia as a corrupt CEO who'd seduced a vulnerable single father to legitimize her power grab. She dredged up Marcus's juvenile record, spinning his past as evidence of criminal tendencies. She even hired actors to protest outside the retrofit centers, claiming unsafe working conditions that didn't exist. The stress began to show. Sofia flew back from Seattle early, canceling meetings to deal with the crisis. She and Marcus fought for the first time real fighting, not the playful bickering they usually engaged in. "Maybe you should distance yourself from this," she suggested one night after another brutal news cycle. "Take Lily somewhere safe until it blows over." "You want me to run?" "I want you protected, both of you. And leave you to face this alone. That's not happening." "Marcus, she's using you to get to me. If you weren't in the picture." "If I wasn't in the picture, you'd be dead in an alley somewhere, remember?" The words came out harsher than intended. Sofia flinched, and Marcus immediately regretted it. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean—" "Yes, you did, and you're right." She sat down heavily, the weight of everything visible in her posture. "I brought this into your life. Maybe I should be the one to leave." "Don't." Marcus sat beside her, taking her hand. "We're stronger together. That's what scares them." The breaking point came 2 weeks later. Lily's class was on a field trip to the Museum of Nature and Science when it happened. Marcus had volunteered as a chaperone, unable to shake the feeling that something was wrong. His instincts proved right. They were in the dinosaur exhibit, Lily's favorite, when Marcus noticed them. Two men who didn't belong moving through the crowd with purpose, eyes locked on his daughter. He recognized the walk, the surveillance patterns. Professional kidnappers. Marcus didn't hesitate. He scooped up Lily mid-sentence about pterodactyl wingspans and moved quickly toward the emergency exit. Behind him, he heard commotion as the men tried to follow through the crowd of children. "Daddy, what?" "Quiet, baby. We're playing a game." He hit the emergency exit, alarms blaring. The museum's security would respond, but not fast enough. Marcus ran toward the parking structure, Lily clinging to his neck. He could hear footsteps behind them getting closer. A van screeched around the corner door, sliding open. For a heart-stopping moment, Marcus thought they were trapped. Then Cole jumped out, rifle raised. "Get in!" Marcus dove into the van as Cole and his team engaged the kidnappers. The firefight was brief but intense, professional operators against hired thugs. It wasn't even close. As they sped away, Lily buried her face in Marcus's chest, crying for the first time through all of this. "I was scared, Daddy." "Me too, baby. Me too." That night, the gloves came off. Sofia called an emergency board meeting and, with Rachel's legal maneuvering, initiated a forensic audit of every shareholder. Within hours, they'd frozen Ashford's assets, claiming suspicion of money laundering. Luis released everything, every dirty deal, every bribe, every affair. Ashford's pharmaceutical company stock plummeted, but the real blow came from an unexpected source. One of Morrison's former mistresses reached out to Sofia with a cache of documents. Morrison had hidden insurance against Ashford if she ever turned on him. The documents detailed how Ashford had tested drugs on homeless populations, had competitors killed, had judges assassinated. "We can't use this," Rachel said when she saw the documents. "It was obtained illegally." "We don't have to use it legally," Sofia replied. Her transformation over the past year had been complete, from idealistic CEO to pragmatic warrior. "We just have to make sure she knows we have it." The meeting with Ashford took place in a neutral location, a law firm downtown. Ashford came with a team of lawyers. Sofia came with Marcus and a single manila folder. "Ms. Chen," Ashford said, voice like poisoned honey, "ready to discuss terms of your surrender." Sofia slid the folder across the table. Ashford opened it, scanned the first page, and went pale. These are copies, Sophia said calmly. The originals are in multiple secure locations with instructions to release if anything happens to anyone I care about. This is blackmail. This is insurance. You're going to sell your Apex shares back to the company at a loss. You're going to leave Denver. You're going to forget we exist. And if I refuse, Marcus spoke for the first time, then your pharmaceutical empire gets exposed for what it really is. Every test subject who died, every competitor you eliminated, every official you bought it, all goes public. Ashford's lawyers were frantically whispering to her, probably explaining how bad this could get. She held up a hand, silencing them. You've learned to play the game, she told Sophia. Morrison would be proud. Morrison is dead, Sophia replied. And you're about to be irrelevant. Choose. Ashford stood slowly, adjusting her jacket. You've won this round, but Denver isn't the only city, and Apex isn't the only company. We'll meet again. No, Marcus said, standing as well. We won't, because if I see you again, if you come near my family again, I won't bother with folders and lawyers. The threat was implicit, but clear. Ashford studied him, perhaps seeing something in his eyes that Morrison had missed the willingness to do whatever it took to protect what was his. She left without another word. The aftermath was swift. Ashford liquidated her Denver holdings and disappeared, reportedly relocating to Europe. Her allies scattered, not wanting to be associated with her fall. The investigations into Apex suddenly stopped. The protests ended. The negative media coverage evaporated. They'd won. Again. But the victory felt different this time. We're becoming them, Marcus said one night standing on their balcony, using their tactics, their methods. We're surviving, Sophia corrected. There's a difference. Is there? We just blackmailed someone into submission. Someone who tried to kidnap your daughter. I know, that's what scares me, that I don't feel bad about it. Sophia moved beside him, taking his hand. You're a good man, Marcus Torres. Nothing we've had to do changes that. How do you know? Because a bad man wouldn't be questioning himself right now. Below them, Denver went about its evening routines, oblivious to the war that had been fought in boardrooms and back alleys. The retrofit centers were thriving. The vocational program had expanded statewide. Apex's stock had recovered, and then some. From inside, they heard Lily calling out in her sleep. Not a nightmare, just one of her vivid dinosaur dreams. Marcus went to check on her, finding her sprawled across her bed, mumbling about velociraptors and pack hunting. He adjusted her blanket, kissed her forehead, and made a decision. The next morning, he resigned from his official position at Apex. I'll still run the retrofit centers, he told a shocked Sophia, but as an independent contractor, not an employee. I need distance. From the company. From what the company makes us do. Sophia nodded slowly, understanding. And from me. Never from you, but we need to separate our personal and professional lives. For Lily. For us. It was the right decision, even if it hurt. Marcus threw himself into the community work, the retrofit centers, the vocational training, the youth programs. He became the face of Apex's charitable efforts while staying removed from corporate warfare. Sophia continued to run the company, but with better boundaries. She hired a proper security team professionals who handled threats without involving Marcus. She fought her battles in boardrooms and courthouses, keeping the violence away from their home. They found balance, or something close to it. 6 months after Ashford's exile, Marcus was teaching a Saturday workshop for teenagers when one of them asked, Mr. Torres, is it true you saved Ms. Chen from killers? Marcus paused, wrench in hand. The kid was maybe 15, all gangly limbs and eager eyes, reminding Marcus of himself at that age. Where'd you hear that? Everyone knows you're like a legend, the mechanic who became a hero. I'm not a hero. I just helped someone who needed it. But you got rich from it, right? Moved up. Marcus set down the wrench, choosing his words carefully. I got something better than money. I got a purpose, a chance to make things better for people like us. That's worth more than any paycheck. The kid looked skeptical but thoughtful. They went back to working on the engine, but Marcus could see him processing, thinking about possibilities beyond the streets. That evening, there was a celebration at the original retrofit center, their 1,000th successful conversion. The mayor came media too, everyone wanting photos with the success story. Marcus stood in the background, letting his team take the spotlight. Sophia found him there, slipping her hand into his. Hiding from your own party. It's not my party. It's theirs. He nodded toward his team, Tommy explaining logistics to a reporter, Luis, showing off the diagnostic systems, Maria charming a group of investors. You built this. We built this. All of us. They watched Lily playing with a group of kids from the neighborhood, teaching them about dinosaurs with the same passion she brought to everything. She'd grown in the past year, taller and more confident, but still his baby girl. Any regrets? Sophia asked, echoing his question from a year ago. Marcus thought about Morrison's suicide, Ashford's exile, the threats and violence that had become part of their lives. He thought about the compromises they'd made, the lines they'd crossed, the people they'd had to become to survive. Then he looked at what they'd built: jobs for hundreds, hope for a community that had been forgotten, a future for kids who'd had none. He looked at Sophia, brilliant and fierce, and his. He looked at Lily, safe and happy and growing up with endless possibilities. No, he said finally, no regrets. The news crews were packing up when Cole approached, tablet in hand. We have a problem. Marcus tensed, but Cole shook his head. Not that kind of problem. Someone leaked the Morrison files to WikiLeaks. Everything's going wide tomorrow. Sophia paled. That'll implicate us. No, Cole interrupted. That's the thing. Every reference to you two has been scrubbed professionally. Someone wanted the corruption exposed, but you protected. They exchanged glances. Who would do that? The answer came via an encrypted email that night. Consider this a professional courtesy. Not everyone who worked for Morrison agreed with his methods. Stay safe. A friend. Marcus would never learn who their benefactor was, but the leak changed everything. Federal investigations opened into dozens of officials. Denver's power structure reshifted completely. And Apex Industries, as the company that had stood against the corruption, saw its reputation soar. We really did win, Sophia said, reading the news coverage. This round, Marcus reminded her. There's always another fight coming. But that night, there wasn't. There was just them. Marcus, Sophia, and Lily eating pizza and watching movies, being a normal family. The guards were outside. The threats were handled. The future was uncertain but promising. As Lily fell asleep between them on the couch, her head on Marcus's shoulder and her feet in Sophia's lap, Marcus realized this was what victory actually looked like. Not the destruction of enemies or accumulation of power, but this quiet moments with the people you loved, knowing you'd earned the peace, however temporary it might be. I love you, he told Sophia over their daughter's sleeping form. I love you too, she replied. Whatever comes next. Whatever comes next, he agreed. Outside, Denver slept. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new threats, new battles to fight. But tonight, in this moment, they were just a family who'd found each other through the strangest of circumstances and held on despite everything trying to tear them apart. It was enough, more than enough. It was everything.